In this video, we're going to go over some of the most popular diets when it comes to immune health and weight loss, and we'll figure out which one may be best for you. My name's Ian. I'm a certified health coach, and I specialize in helping people with autoimmune issues as well as weight management. I suffered for years with psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis and went through so much trial and error when it comes to diet, supplements, and just finding out what works for me. And now I'm able to share what I've learned along the way with others. So if you want to learn more about what I've done and what others are doing to help their immune health, consider subscribing. So before starting any kind of new diet, check with your healthcare practitioner, a registered dietitian, or a nutritionist. So the keto diet was developed in the 1920s as a treatment for epilepsy. A lot of people have really good success with the keto diet. However, in my opinion, it's kind of a hard thing to sustain because you have to go into ketosis. And the way you go into ketosis is by intermittent fasting, having a high-fat diet, and in order to check to make sure you're in ketosis, you have to check your blood or your urine, so you're constantly testing. Also, there's side effects like having the keto flu, just like kind of like feeling like you're sick when you're going into ketosis, having an acetone breath, muscle cramps, insomnia. You can also have digestive issues as you're acclimating to having a higher fat diet. So a common mistake that I see people do with the keto diet is actually having a higher animal-based fat diet versus a plant-based diet, which was the original goal of the diet. So the paleo diet. The paleo diet is very common in the CrossFit arena, and it bases its premise off of the Paleolithic caveman era.
Yeah!
Even though the Paleolithic man only lived to roughly 25 to 35 years old.
Oh no!
So the premise of the paleo diet is eating basically meat and vegetables. Paleo cuts out all grains, dairy, and other processed foods. When it comes to immune health, there's pretty much three popular diets that are out there. The first one is called the AIP, or the Autoimmune Protocol Diet. This is an elimination diet that excludes certain foods for short periods of time, and then it reintroduces them to find what sensitivities that somebody might have. The AIP, or elimination diet, just like most diets, are best under the care of an actual nutritionist, dietitian, or healthcare practitioner to allow to reintroduce certain things that you might be sensitive to. There's also something that's called the low FODMAP diet. FODMAP stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. These are short-chain fatty acids, which are sugars, that have a hard time getting digested in the small intestine. Low FODMAP is a common diet used for treatment of SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. Another diet that's gaining popularity is called the histamine diet. This diet is actually very popular for the treatment of Crohn's disease, as well as GERD, which is acid reflux. So there's certain foods that are higher in histamine than others, and this diet goes to reduce those amount of histamines to reduce those chances for those sensitivities in that histamine response. However, a histamine intolerance is only relevant to about 1% of the population. So with the autoimmune protocol, the low FODMAP diet, as well as the histamine diet, they're all meant to be short-term solutions to be able to solve a certain issue. In contrast, the paleo and the keto diet are looking more for a long-term effects. So which diet do I follow? So that answer is absolutely none of them.
Huh?
The reason why I don't follow one specific diet is because I think any kind of diet, when we label it as such, is completely unsustainable, restrictive. I like to look at diet as just nutrition, and I like to look at diet as simply just what I eat or what I should eat. We need to look at food and nutrition as a key to our health. It's fuel for our body. It should give us nutrients, vitamins, essential things that we need. It's also imperative that we look at food as eat to live, not just live to eat. A good analogy that I like to tell people is, what if we just gave our kids sugar all day long? Where would that put them? They would be bouncing off the walls, and then they would crash, and they wouldn't be getting any nutrients. And we're doing this to ourselves all the time. However, we don't want to put constraints on ourselves to tell us that we specifically can do this and only this, and no room for any kind of error, because that's not sustainable. So we have to look at food as what it's going to do for us. Everything that we put into our body is either going to make us better or make us worse, and especially when it comes to autoimmune conditions. So even not following any of those diets that I laid out, I think there's a lot of really common themes amongst all of them that we can take away from. And those common things are what I try to do for my own personal diet. So there's 5 things that I try personally to avoid or just minimize. Number 1 is sugar and alcohol. Number 2 is dairy. Number 3 is wheat or gluten. Number 4, artificial sweeteners. And number 5 is just processed food in general. Also, something that I try to do and I recommend to my clients is to start adding more of the good, and then in turn it'll weed out less of the bad. So the number one thing I recommend is getting in your veggies to start off with. The general recommendation for veggies is 5 servings a day. And the easiest way to do that is to incorporate them into each meal. So at breakfast we have 1, at lunch we have 2 servings, and then at dinner we have 3 servings of vegetables. So that's roughly 6 servings of vegetables that we can get in daily by just breaking it up throughout the day. Also, the general recommendation is to have 4 servings of fruit per day. So as we're incorporating more veggies and more fruits into our diet, it'll slowly fill us up and fade out all those other bad things that we have tendencies towards. When we're adding more, we're not restricting ourselves or constraining ourselves to a certain specific diet, is because when you restrict things, you want them even more. The number one reason why I recommend more plant-based when it comes to getting your veggies and your fruits in your diet is overall gut health. Now, I talk a lot about gut health because it's foundational for our immune system. It's 70 to 80% of our immune system. And the number one factor that's driving gut health is actually fiber. And that prebiotic fiber can only be found in those plants, those veggies, those fruits. So those are the pivotal things when it comes to our overall health, immune health, as well as helping manage our weight. Now, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, or am I recommending that you do so? Diet's all about finding kind of what works for you and understanding what the big picture is that you're trying to solve. I think the overall whole plant-based foods that you can have in your diet for long-term health, that's the best because we're feeding our gut actually what it needs. I do believe, and I do personally eat meat. I try to eat less meat and a lot more veggies and fruits in my diet in order to achieve my optimal gut health. So the number one factor when it comes to diet is sustainability. You want something that's simple and sustainable for you. So what is the best diet? The best diet is the diet that works for you as an individual. One that you're not going to be constantly counting calories or stressing about every little thing that you're putting into your body. It's sustainable for you and in your health and what your needs are at that time. When I look at diet, I look to about a 90-10, 95-5. So, 90 to 95% good, 5 to 10% bad. So I allow myself that wiggle room to be able to enjoy things in life. I like ice cream, I like cake. I have little kids, so I'm gonna have those macaroni and cheese and pizza with them on occasion. So diet is all about finding that sustainability as well as something very simple that you can follow. So just because somebody's recommending a certain diet doesn't mean that's necessarily the best thing for you. It's all about finding what works for you and to meet your specific health goals and your needs. And most importantly, it fits into the social context of your life. Also, one key thing that you can do is to get the bad stuff out of your house. We have so many opportunities that are outside of our house to eat things that maybe aren't so healthy. So to get it out of your own house makes things a lot easier in the long run. What diet do you follow? Let me know down in the comments if there's a certain diet that you found that works best for you. If you want to learn more about immune health, gut health, or my story, or how I can help you, let me know in the comments if there's something that you're struggling with or you wanted more information on. I'd love to hear back from people, and we'll see you on the next one.